Okay, so you know how everyone's always going on about like those crazy trading stories?
Right.
Like somebody's, aunt's friend's cousin who threw like $100 at some random stock.
Yeah.
And then bam, next thing you know, they're sailing off into the sunset on their yacht.
Right. Living the dream.
It makes it sound so easy though, doesn't it?
It does.
But we both know trading is what's way more complicated than that.
Oh, yeah.
It really is. So then why do so many people, why do they struggle to find consistency,
Yeah.
especially with all the information out there these days? You'd think it'd be easier.
Right. You would think so. You know what's interesting, though? A lot of times it comes down to something that's not about, like, intelligence.
Right.
Or even having, like, a good system for analyzing the markets.
Yeah.
It's all about the mental game.
It's the psychology of it all.
That's exactly it. That psychology of risk, that's where people get tripped up.
Totally. Because you could have the best, most expensive trading software in the world, but
Right.
if your head's not in the right place, if your mindset's not right,
It's worthless.
it's worthless. And that's why we're diving into Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas today.
It's a good one.
This book, it's like the ultimate guide, I think,
Yeah.
for rewiring your brain to think like a consistently successful trader.
Yeah, totally.
We're going way beyond just charts and indicators and all that today, folks.
Deeper.
Deeper. We're going deeper to uncover those mental traps, the ones that can sabotage even the smartest traders out there.
Right, because even if you've got all the technical stuff down, it's really about building that trader's mindset.
Yes.
That ability to actually look at risk, at uncertainty, and not freak out.
Right.
Not see them as these insurmountable obstacles.
Totally.
They're just part of the game.
They are. They're part of it. And you know what's really interesting?
What's that?
The book actually talks about how a few early wins, a little bit of beginner's luck, it can actually really mess you up in the long run.
It makes sense, though, doesn't it?
It does. It makes you feel like you've got it all figured out.
Totally.
Think about it. You make a couple of good calls.
Right.
Maybe you get lucky once or twice.
Right.
And suddenly you're like, market, I own you.
I've cracked the code.
I've got this. Exactly. And that's where things get dangerous.
It is. That's where it can all come crashing down.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Because you get cocky.
You do. You get overconfident. And Douglas, he calls this the paradox of easy wins and elusive mastery.
Ooh, I like that.
Because you see, those early wins, they create this like false sense of security.
Oh, totally.
And that leads to overconfidence, reckless trading, like you were saying.
You get sloppy.
You do. And ultimately, it usually leads to some pretty painful losses.
It always does.
It does. And I think that's a hard lesson that a lot of traders, they have to learn the hard way.
Yeah, they do.
Because true mastery, it's not about those occasional wins.
No.
It's not about hitting a home run every time you step up to the plate.
The consistency.
Yes. It's about, like you said, consistency, that ability to make good, sound decisions over and over again, even when things are crazy, even when you feel the pressure.
Especially when you feel the pressure.
Exactly. That's what separates the pros from the amateurs. It's about managing risk, protecting your capital. That's how you stay in the game for the long haul.
It's like thinking you can climb Mount Everest because you hiked up a really big hill once.
Right, exactly.
And the market. It's like it can be a wild, unpredictable ride. You got to be prepared mentally for the long game. You really do.
Right.
And one of the things that I really took away from Trading in the Zone was this whole concept of the 4 primary trading fears.
Oh, yeah. Those are big ones.
They are. And Douglas says these fears, they're so deeply ingrained in us that they drive our trading decisions without us even realizing it.
It's true. They're insidious like that.
They are. They really are. Okay, so for everyone listening, the 4 fears are being wrong, losing money, missing out, and leaving money on the table.
It's like the 4 horsemen of the trading apocalypse.
It is. It really is. But the thing is, we all experience these fears to some extent, right?
Of course, yeah. It's normal to have those fears.
In everyday life.
Right.
But in trading, it's like they're amplified.
They are. Because the stakes are higher.
Yeah.
There's real money on the line.
There is.
And so those fears, they're always lurking in the back of our minds, influencing how we're seeing the market, how we're reacting to it. Everything.
Everything. Okay, so let's break down these fears a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how they actually show up when we're trading.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
First up, the fear of being wrong.
Ooh, yeah.
I think we've all been there.
Oh, for sure.
You make a call, the market decides to do the complete opposite.
Right.
And suddenly you're questioning every decision you've ever made.
Yes. You're second guessing everything. Your system, your analysis, your broker,
Everything. Your cat.
especially your cat.
Right. It's the cat's fault. He distracted me.
Exactly. And this fear, it can manifest in different ways. Some people, they freeze up.
Yeah.
Analysis paralysis, right?
Like, yeah.
They're so afraid of making a wrong move that they end up stuck overanalyzing every single little detail.
Oh, yeah.
They miss out on opportunities
Because they're frozen.
because they're frozen.
Yeah.
And then you've got the other side of the coin, right?
Right.
Where you have people who are so afraid of missing out
Yes.
that they jump into trades without thinking. They're impulsive.
Without doing their due diligence.
Exactly. They haven't done their homework. They don't have a solid plan.
And that's just as dangerous.
It is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
It is. It absolutely is. And then, of course, you've got the fear of losing money, which, come on, let's be real.
The big one.
That's the big one, right? It's like the boogeyman of trading.
It is. And it makes sense though, right?
It does.
Because we work hard for our money. Nobody wants to see their account balance shrinking. Nobody. But this fear, it can really mess you up if you let it.
Oh, in so many ways.
It really can. It can make you do some crazy things.
Oh, absolutely. Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so think about a time maybe where you were in a trade and it started going against you. But you held on, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
You held on, hoping and praying that it would turn around.
Come on. Come on.
Any minute now.
Just get back up there.
That's the fear of loss.
Oh, wow.
It's making you hold on when really you should just cut your losses.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Exactly. Rip that Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Get out of there.
Cut your losses.
But you don't because you're afraid.
You get stubborn.
Yes. Stubborn. And you know what? Sometimes that fear, it does the opposite too.
Really?
Yeah. It'll make you sell your winners way too early.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Because you're afraid of it turning around.
Exactly. You're so afraid of the market turning on you that you bail at the first sign of trouble.
It's like you can't win.
It's true. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Right.
That's true.
But the thing is, you got to learn to control that fear, not let it control you.
Oh, it's so hard, though.
It is hard, but it's possible. And that brings us to our next fear, the fear of missing out.
Oh, FOMO.
FOMO. The one that makes you chase those hot stock tips.
Yes.
Jump into those trades without even looking at a chart.
Without doing your research.
Right. Because you're so afraid that everybody else is getting rich and you're going to miss out.
Oh, yeah. You see it on social media all the time.
All the time. Everybody's posting their gains, right?
Up 1,000%.
Lambos on Lambos.
Exactly.
But what they don't show you are the losses.
They don't show you the other side.
Never. They don't show you the blood, sweat, and tears.
Exactly.
And they certainly don't show you the people who blew up their accounts chasing those hot tips.
Oh, no.
No, but it happens. It happens all the time. And it's usually because of FOMO.
It's so true. It's so true. Okay, so we've talked about the fear of being wrong, the fear of losing money, the fear of missing out.
Right.
What's the last one?
The last one, this one's a real heartbreaker.
Oh, no.
The fear of leaving money on the table.
Ooh.
The one where you see a trade going your way, right?
Okay, yeah.
But then you get nervous, you get greedy.
I can make more.
Right. Let it ride. And so you hesitate.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, what happens?
It turns around.
It reverses. You're left there kicking yourself thinking, why didn't I get out when I had the chance?
I should have sold.
You should have sold. It's like that old saying, bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered.
It's so true.
Greed, it's just as dangerous as fear.
So how do we deal with all of this?
Right.
It feels like a minefield.
It does, doesn't it? Because you've got all of these fears, these deeply ingrained psychological forces working against you. So how do you overcome them?
Yeah, how do we go from fear-based trading to, a more objective, calm, and ultimately more profitable approach?
Right. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
And that's where Douglas, he introduces this really powerful concept. He talks about the danger of knowing. Yeah, knowing in trading.
Right.
And it sounds counterintuitive, but
Okay.
the more certain we are about what the market is going to do, the more likely we are to make a mistake.
Wait, hold on. So you're telling me that being confident in my analysis is a bad thing?
It's not about throwing analysis out the window entirely.
Yeah.
It's more about understanding that no matter how much research you do, no matter how fancy your charts are, you can never know for sure what the market's going to do.
Okay, that's true. Yeah.
Right. The market is inherently unpredictable.
Yeah.
And when we cling to this idea that we know what's going to happen, we blind ourselves to other possibilities. We start ignoring those warning signs.
The red flags.
It's red flags, exactly. Those little bits of information that contradict our view, that's when we get ourselves into trouble.
It's true. You get so focused on your own little world, your own analysis.
Exactly. You get tunnel vision.
Yes.
And you miss the bigger picture.
You miss those signals.
You do.
Okay, so it's kind of like we need to be open to the possibility that, we could be wrong.
Yes.
That the market might not behave the way we think it should or the way we want it to.
Exactly. You got to be willing to be wrong. You have to be adaptable.
Okay.
You have to be able to adjust your approach as needed.
So it's all about being flexible.
Yes. Flexibility and humility.
Humility, right. Because the market doesn't care about your ego.
No, it does not. It's a humbling game.
It is. Okay, so this is what Douglas calls like a probabilistic mindset. Right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay, so break that down for me a little bit.
So it's about understanding that trading, it's not about being right or wrong all the time.
Okay.
That's impossible.
It is impossible.
Right.
Especially to be right.
Right. You're not going to bat 1,000. Nobody does.
Nobody.
Right. So instead, it's about putting the odds in your favor over the long term. It's a numbers game.
It is a numbers game.
It really is. It is. It's about managing risk, accepting the uncertainty is always going to be there, and focusing on what you can actually control.
Okay, I'm starting to get where you're going with this. Good.
But how do we actually develop this probabilistic mindset? What are the steps? What are the things that we can do to start thinking this way consistently? Especially when things get crazy, we're in the heat of the moment, the pressure's on.
Douglas, he gives us some practical advice, right?
He does, yeah. He lays out what he calls the 5 fundamental truths that are really essential for cultivating this mindset.
The 5 truths?
The 5 truths.
All right, hit me with them.
Okay, truth number 1, and this is a big one. Anything can happen.
Okay, yeah.
The market does not follow a script.
It does not. If it did, I would have figured it out by now.
Right. We'd all be millionaires. But the truth is, the market can surprise you at any moment.
Oh, yeah. It loves to do that.
It does. And you need to be prepared for that. So that leads us to truth number 2, which kind of goes hand in hand with truth number 1. You don't need to know what is going to happen next to make money.
Wait a minute. Really?
I know, right? It sounds crazy.
It does. Because everyone's always trying to predict the future.
I know. And that's what gets so many traders in trouble. They get so caught up in trying to predict the future, trying to time the market perfectly.
The top, the bottom, all of it.
All of it. And it ends up being their downfall.
Because it's impossible.
It's impossible. You can't predict the future.
It's like trying to catch a falling knife, right?
Exactly. Sometimes the best trades are the ones that seem so obvious in hindsight, but trying to predict them in advance.
It's a recipe for disaster.
It really is.
Okay, so that's 2 truths. Anything can happen. You don't have to know the future. What's number 3?
All right, truth number 3. There's a random distribution between wins and losses.
Okay.
Even with a good, solid trading strategy, you're not going to win every trade.
And that's okay.
That's okay. It's a numbers game, remember?
Right. It's about having an edge.
Exactly.
It's not about being perfect.
No.
It's about having a strategy that gives you a higher probability of winning over the long run, even if you have some losses along the way.
You're getting it. And that leads us perfectly to truth number 4. An edge is nothing more than an indication of a higher probability of one thing happening over another.
Okay.
Doesn't guarantee anything. It's like flipping a weighted coin.
Okay.
You might not win every flip, but over time, you're more likely to come out ahead.
So it's about tilting the odds in your favor.
Yes.
Not trying to control the outcome of every single trade.
Exactly. You got it.
Okay, that's powerful. I like that. All right, so we've got 4 truths down. What's the 5th and final truth?
All right, truth number 5, and this is a big one. Every moment in the market is unique.
Okay.
Just because something worked in the past, even if it worked really well, it doesn't mean it's guaranteed to work again in the future.
Right, because things change.
Things change constantly. The market is constantly evolving, and we have to be willing to evolve with it.
So it's about being adaptable, right? Not getting stuck in our ways, being willing to adjust our approach as needed.
Exactly. Each trading opportunity, each setup, it needs to be evaluated on its own merits, taking into account the current market conditions.
Don't just blindly follow what worked before.
Exactly. You have to think critically. You have to be present in the moment.
Okay, I like it. So those are the 5 truths. Anything can happen. You don't have to know the future to make money. Wins and losses are random. An edge is just a higher probability, and every market moment is unique.
You got it.
All right.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel honestly relieved. Relieved.
Yeah.
Because it takes some of the pressure off. It makes me realize that I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to predict the future. I just have to focus on what I can control. My process, my risk management, my mindset.
That's it. That's the beauty of this approach. It's empowering.
It is empowering because it shifts the focus from things that are outside my control to things that are within my control.
Exactly. It's about focusing on what you can influence, not on what you can't. And that shift in perspective, that can make all the difference, not just in your trading, but in your life.
That's so true. This has been such an incredible conversation. Trading in the Zone, it's more than just a trading book, isn't it? It's really a guide to mastering the mental game of life. And for anyone listening who's ready to embrace this probabilistic mindset, both in their trading and in their lives, I highly, highly recommend checking it out.
Couldn't agree more.
That's a wrap on this deep dive, folks. Until next time, happy trading. And remember, embrace the uncertainty.